Hello everyone, welcome to Jennifer Sewing and Crochet. Today I'm going to talk to you about how the quilting of the Sparklers quilt blocks will be. In my previous video I described how I was going to be doing them with the quilting rulers and that I was unable to quilt them that way. The quilting rulers are definitely a learning curve. So at this point, the quilt will be done stitch in the ditch. But first, before we get into the measurements for layering, the backing, and the batting, I would like to share with you a few little things. I got this amazing little grate iron as a Mother's Day gift. It is the cutest little thing. I wanted a small iron to use at my table while I am actually filming for you. And being limited on space, I wanted something small. And also I could use this with my wool pressing mat. Just a little bit easier with a smaller iron, and since this quilt will be done as quilt as you go, I'm able to get into the side seams and pressing a little bit easier with a smaller iron. I am in no way sponsored by this iron or by this brand. I just really fell in love with this cute little thing. I was researching it on Amazon, and I believe it was $19 on Amazon, but we had seen it at Walmart for half that price. I believe maybe right around 12 bucks. Well, my husband surprised me and I ended up getting it for Mother's Day. But this iron has some really great little features, and let me show you on there. Your starch, or I'm sorry, your steam, you push it down for that it's locked. When it's raised is for the steam. You can see just a little push button. And another great little feature with this iron is that it's locked. It will not. I've seen in some of the reviews on Amazon for the iron that there was one lady in particular, excuse me, saying that the water leaked out of her iron when she wasn't using it. Well, I had since learned that in the little book that came with it, keep your button locked when not in use, and it won't leak out. Your water won't leak out. But of course, you drain your water out when it's going to be sitting for a long period of time. I will not be using water in this iron. I prefer using the spray bottle. But it does have some really nice little features, with that being. And for those of you that do use water in your irons, there is, let me find where the care instructions are. I've never seen this on an iron before, but it said that you can actually clean to get the scale for your mineral buildup in this iron, that you can, of course, if there's scale buildup, you can refill the water tank with fresh distilled vinegar or fresh distilled water and vinegar, and the vinegar will descale your iron. So I'm wondering if that would work with other brand irons, that you could do the same thing. I've never thought to do that with an iron, But when I saw this in the care instructions and the cleaning instructions, I was like, oh, that's a pretty smart little tip there. So it says you just use a 1/2 ounce of distilled water and a 1/2 ounce of vinegar, and it comes with this nice little pour spout, and this is for this is where your water is right here, and you just pour your water and vinegar in, allow the normal steam ironing procedure as outlined on page 8, which is for your cleaning and storage. Allow the unit to steam out full contents of water tank. When finished, lock your steam button in the lowered position and unplug your unit. Then allow it to cool for 5 minutes, then refill your water tank with fresh distilled water and repeat step 4 until the vinegar smell dissipates. I'm actually going to try this with another iron that I do have to try to descale it. But I thought I would share this with everybody. I think it's a great little iron for quilting, and when you're using your wool pressing mat. So, like I said, that is Steam Fast brand, and I'm not sponsored in any way. I just love this cute little thing. It's so adorable that I thought I would share it with my quilting friends. So with that, put that out of our way. I have decided that the quilt will be done in Stitch in the Ditch. I really love this quilt pattern, the quilt block pattern, and instead of doing it with the quilting rulers and distracting from the pattern, not only could I not use the quilting rulers yet, I still have to learn with those, but now the quilt will be, actually, I don't know if you can see that very well. Get some of that lint off there. Seems like black always shows lint. So, like you can see, I have done Stitch in the Ditch already on this first block. On the larger portion block here, I have just done a large X. The center portion, I don't think I'm really going to do much on that. I'm not worried about this section. And so this is the section here where the X's are. And my lighting is just not very good today. I'm really sorry about that. But just a little update so you know what's happening with that. My backing, I have cut my backing fabric to 22 inches. The block currently finishes at 18.5 inches. I added 1 1/4 inch borders around the blocks to bring it to 20 inches. But then I should have made them just a little bit larger so I could do the trimming to square up the block. But if I lose some of this border on here, if I lose 1/4 inch, I don't have a problem with that. So it would be like 3/4 inch border, which I'm fine with. I don't have a problem with that. But if any of you want wider borders, please take that in note to make your borders just a little bit larger. Okay, so the block finished to 20 inches with the border. My batting I cut at 21 inches, and there's just a little bit on each edge. I really don't like a lot of waste, so the least amount I can get away with makes me very happy. I don't like fabric waste. And again, the backing for the block is 22 inches. Okay, so let me move that one aside. And also, the batting that I am using is the Fairfield Quilters 80/20, and I got this from Joann's. I don't know if it's their brand, but I really like the 80/20. I like the feel of it. I like the weight of it, and you can quilt up to 4 inches apart on this. The size I have is 120 inch by 120. So this is an extra large king size. And I actually bought 2 packages of this because I'm not sure how much I will need, but better safe than sorry. So this is the batting I am using. And that is what it looks like here. So it is a really low loft batting. But I really like the weight of it. And being that this is going to be a king size quilt, it's going to be relatively heavy anyway. Okay, and I did start off on the first block using my walking foot, and I really did not like the quality of my stitch in the ditch. You can see that I did kind of wander out a little bit, and this is the first block, so you know it's okay, but you always get that little bit of a learning curve on the first part of a project. At least I do. And this is my first time doing a quilt as you go, so usually I just do straight line quilting and don't worry about stitch in the ditch. I just do whatever, or use a wavy line quilting that's on my machine. So instead of using my walking foot, I am now using, I believe this is called a Overcast Foot. It has this little guide right down the center of it. And I am able to line that up right on the seam and just sew right along. And on this second block, I have just started this one. I have only done 2 lines of it so far. I'm sorry you can't really see that very well. Maybe there's a little bit better. But the stitching in the ditch is so much nicer, and I was able to hide the stitch right in that seam just perfectly. I am really sorry you can't see that very good in this black fabric. It's just, the lighting is not very well on that. But let me show you how I am doing that. I am going to attach my foot back onto my machine, and I will do this next line. I think actually what I am going to show you is I am going to show you how I am going to stitch from, let me pull this down just a little. I am going to start off onto the backing, and then I'm going to bring it right down along this line here, right down to the diamond. Then I'm going to stitch, turn my fabric, stitch down this line, stitch up, then stitch along the point of the flying geese, then back down, and then back. And I will have to turn again, either here or either, okay, so this way, then this way, and then bring it back down this way. Because this particular block, when it's laid out, as you can see, these pieces, this is the longer piece and this is the smaller piece. And on this one, this was the longer piece and the smaller piece. I don't know if I spun it around somehow the way when I was assembling it, but anyway, we will figure that out a little later. But, so let me adjust the camera and I will show you how I do that. I'll be right back. Okay, so I know this is kind of a little weird angle, but I want you to be able to see how I have it under the machine. I have also forgot to mention to you that instead of pin basting, what I have done is I have used a homemade basting spray. It's called Quilting Moonshine. You can find the recipe online. And I just used the little raindrops mister. I believe I got this in the garden center at Walmart or either in the laundry area. But you just you cook you almost cook the basting spray like a gravy, and then you pour it into a jar to cool, and you add rubbing alcohol to it. The original recipe calls for vodka, but we don't drink, so we don't keep alcohol in the house. So I just used rubbing alcohol, and it works just as good. That is the substitute. So that's what I do, is I spray my backing, put my batting on, then spray the top batting, and then attach the top of the block, and then I press it so it just kind of dries a little bit faster. So that is what I use. I have also done this for a flannel baby quilt, and it worked out fantastic. I probably won't do a lot of pin basting again because I really like this way of doing it. Okay, so we are going to work on this line here, and I am going to bring it down along the flying geese. And let me see if I can adjust this camera just a little bit better. I will. Okay, I think I got that adjusted there pretty well. We are going to stitch along this line. Then I'm going to bring it down right along the V point of the flying geese, and then come right back down. Let's see, how are we going to do that? I'm going to bring it straight, and I am actually going to stitch right, probably down this point, up this point, down this one, back up, down, back up, and then straight down. Okay, so we are going to have to rotate a little bit. I have went ahead and clipped the foot back onto the machine, and I am quilting using black thread. I want it to be invisible on the back and blend in as much as I can. I am using just a regular straight stitch, and I have it set to 2.5 for the length, and my width is at 3.5. Okay. Just here, just a little. I have it lined. I did some small light pencil marks just so I can line up on the border just right. And I am going to start this off slowly. So as you can see, that little foot guide right there is running right along that seam. Whoever thought of using one of these? Absolutely brilliant. Okay, my corner is off just a little bit here, so I'm just going to kind of like nudge it just a little bit. If I go over the sides there a little bit. I don't have a problem with that. I will show you when we get to this point. You kind of have to look closely right where your needle is. I'm sorry if I'm really loud. I'm like right on top of the camera here. Okay, so I will show you when we get to that point. Okay, so I am like looking above, and I'm looking right at down where my needle's coming, so I can see right where, going real slow. Okay, so I am right at the edge of where the white and the black join each other. Let's see if I can get the lighting there a little better. Okay, so I'm going to pick up the foot. I have the needle down into the fabric. I'm picking up the foot, and I am turning and lining it right up with that, lowering it back down, stitching just to this point. And again, I'm watching that really close, and then I'm going to pick it back up and fold this corner in just a little to roll it so it's easier to get through there. And I'm going to stitch right along this part to this point. Maybe one more, okay. And I'm going to turn it back again, lift my foot, turn it back again, line it up with the flying geese, and I'm going to sew right to this point. Okay. And you can, if you go one stitch too much, you can, if you have the reverse, just reverse a stitch. If you go just a little bit too far. I found that out on the other one, on the previous block. I'm going to sew to this point again. Slow right till you get to the point. Okay, pick up again, rotate. We're going to sew to this point again. Okay, so I am going to completely rotate back around, and I'm going to sew along this line until I get back to this point. Okay, and then pick up my foot, and we're going to sew all the way off to the edge of the block. I'm just a little, there we go. And I just sew right off the edge. Pick up my foot, cut my thread, and let's look how it did. And you can see just how nice that looked. And there's a piece of lint. And really, I really am happy with that. Okay, so my next step would be to continue stitching along as many of the straight areas that I can. Some of them, isn't that easy, so I kind of had to play around a little bit with the corner pieces. What I had to do is I'd had to like take one area, and since we already sewn this line from here to here, my next step would be from this seam to go up. You can go over where you have already sewn, but if you don't want to, try to plan out a way that you can like start at your corner and just zigzag it up, come back, zigzag around here, or not zigzag, I'm sorry, straight stitch around here, your blocks, however is easiest for you. I don't want to be tying in any thread ends, so I am trying to start and stop on the edge of the block as much as I can. There were a few spots on the first block that I locked my stitch, where I started sewing and then back stitched and then restitched over again to lock the stitch. I'm hoping that doesn't come back to bite me in the butt later, but anyway, what I think I'm going to do now is I am going to show you how I did. You can see my X here. What I did is I came up one side, down the other side, back up, cross, back down. I think that's the way I did that. Let me, this way, so up, across, this way, and down. I'm not sure how I exactly did it, but I think what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go up, across, down, back up my little border. I'm confusing myself. So we're just going to, let's just say we go up, down, this way, back up, and down, and then up. We'll wing it. Okay. Okay. And then I am going to roll so I can pick up, roll it through, and continue. So I can go along this way. Right to this point. I think I am going to go ahead and do a rotate it around, and I am going to do this part of the X. Then I'm going to come back up and do this part, and possibly go around this portion. We'll just see what happens. Just a little trial and error. So I'm lining this up right along my line or right on it. Just however you prefer. Okay, so I'm going to turn it again. I'm going to go back up this to this point, and then this, and then I am going to probably backtrack this way, come back up, and go around and off. Okay, roll that back up so I can turn. I'm sure there are better ways to do this, but this is just what's working for me. Oops, I am actually almost made a mistake there. I actually have to line it up with the X. So let me kind of turn that a little better there. There we go. Okay, pick back up. I am going to sew off this seam and then back stitch. Do I have that on there correctly? So right off of it, back stitch slowly right back along that until I get to that point. Actually, I didn't really even need to back stitch because silly me could have just turned it right back around. Like so. And put it right back down. I am going to sew to this point. You know what? I think what I'll do is I'm going to sew right up, turn here, and go right off to the side. Get to your point. Here's my point. Turn again. And I am going to roll up, stick back through, line it back up, and I'm going to just take it right off the edge of the block. Okay. Raise my needle, bring it up, cut my thread. Let me readjust the camera, and I will be right back. Okay. You can see where we did our stitching on the flying geese portion on our X, and then where we went off, kind of like jotted around parts of the square. I'm sure there's probably easier ways to follow your block pattern. Whether you do all your verticals first, then do your horizontals. I don't really want the stitching to cross over the solid, the white on white. It's okay if it goes through the seam because it kind of hides it once I wash the quilt. But like I said, I don't want the black stitching to go over the white. So that's why I will be leaving the center portion unquilted. I still may do just stitch in the ditch around the inner square on the first block. I do not know yet. Or I just may leave it just like it is. So this gives you an idea of basically how I will be quilting the blocks. Is there a better way? Yes, I'm sure there probably is, but do it your way. Do it what's easiest for you. This quilt is definitely a learning experience, so just go with the flow. Just have fun. I will finish quilting this block over the next day or so. I do have a few things I have to do, and then I will come to you in the next video, and I will show you how I'm going to square up the blocks, and I will show you how I am going to do the quilt as you go. Thank you for being patient and sticking with me on the craziness of this. I'm just winging it. I'm just winging it. We're learning together on this one. So we'll see you next video. Thank you again. Please like and subscribe. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.